1,500 subscribers, and it looks like, scrolling down and counting, Marshall Hurley, I don't know if I'm saying that right or not, number 1,500. So thank you to everyone who subscribed. Michelle, you get 500 Christmas points, whatever that is. But anyway, I appreciate the subscribes, and continue, obviously, share the videos to see how high we can get this number. But I hit that actually late yesterday evening, 1,500 subscribers, so on our way.
All right, well, we've got all of our icicle lights hung, and but they're, because I didn't want to block the wreath and I still wanted a pretty decent gap in the middle, I started a little not center, so I started here and I went over and it went all the way down, so there's more on this side than there is on this side. And I also did the same thing over here on this because it's just a short peak. So I actually took both mail-ins, and you know that most mail-ins, the extension of Christmas lights, have a leader, tied them in the middle so I can plug in one spot right in the middle there and have them both going, and then the one at the end, which is again halfway. Half of it's here, half of it's down there. So that's all done. I have to change this one set of Christmas lights, old set of blue, and then the eave will be done. Now I gotta work on a side note here. If I wasn't doing a light show or just a static display, I really like the idea of hanging the lights underneath the eave here. I have these vinyl soffits. It's easy just to push the wire up in there. And in my opinion, most of the homes that I see, if you look at them, a lot of people hang their icicle lights right here under the shingles. They get the little clips, or up underneath that little, I don't even know, flashing, whatever it is called. And it hangs in front of the house. This little bit of difference by just sticking it up and underneath the eave makes a huge impact. I like to be different, so just keep that in mind. If you want to be a little bit different than someone else, just honestly, the placement of where you put your lights, you can even put a mirror next to the house and it'll be different. And it might, yeah, you might really like the look. So I saw this setup. It was with red lights. I actually did it one year. Red lights around the peak, and then the icicle lights on the corners. I saw it somewhere. I saw a picture of it and I really liked it. So if I ever do icicles like I'm doing, I only put them around the corners. I really like that idea. So the full effect of it is basically just the icicles hanging off the corners of the house instead of the entire house. So I challenge you, be original. Do something a little different. Just sit back and think, this is what I want to do, but how can I do it differently? And then share it. I want to see it. Because I like the different, I like the unique houses. All right, up here on the roof, and it's hot. It's freaking hot today. Luckily, we're gonna get a cold front here next week, so it'll be nice and cool. But right now, it's hot. Anyway, I've got all my C9 light strands. You notice, and I suggest this to people that use the old-fashioned C9s or C7s. I take the bulbs out of all my strands when I wrap them up. This will prevent them from breaking in storage, and it will also prevent the paint chipping if you have colored bulbs. Also, because I usually do a lot of custom work, I can obviously customize these in the colors that I want. If I don't need a bulb in one place, I can not put a bulb in there. So I always just take all the bulbs out. I keep them in a 5-gallon bucket. But this is what I've decided to use for the peak. All right, now, if you're thinking about doing some peak work and you want your lights to be straight and, you know, nice, and I used to, just like I did the eave, come right at the peak shingle, and I would put a lot of the bulbs, just stick them up underneath this top shingle. Now keep in mind that in this case, if you put them on this side, you wouldn't be able to see them from that side. So I'd have to come down on the one side and come back down on the other. So it's nice in unison and looks nice from both sides. I'm using C7s, I'm going to try to figure out a way that I can make the bulbs stay right on the peak. All right, I'm gonna go this peak, over, down that, down here, and I'll have to do this one peak separate. So, first step is to get them in, and then I'll come up here with the bulbs and screw them all in. So, all right, I got my peak work up. The bulbs, I couldn't get them all to stand straight up yet, so I got them up there and in place. So I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try some hot glue, just a tad bit of hot glue in the base of each one to hopefully get them to stand straight up. But I'm taking a break from the roof, and I'm going to work on my arch. Now, I have some earlier videos of how to make jumping or leaping arches, things like that. I'm going to make an arch that goes up and basically down to here. All right. It's a little bit of a tighter arch than I have used to make. Actually, I've never made. Well, actually, I did make an arch once, but most of the videos I have is not to make an arch, but to make my chasing eaves, because I used to take, you see a couple of years ago, the eaves used to chase up and down like this, and I just make PVC and do that. I'll try to link the videos to those previous, the links to the previous videos in this video here in the description. Basically, I've got 100 inches of a piece of PVC pipe that's going to be bent quite tightly to match the curve. So instead of using the sleeve method that I used before in the videos that you'll see if you go back and take a look, I'm going to be just wrapping this 100-inch piece of PVC with 8 strands of lights. Now 100 divided by 8 is 12.5 inches, so I went and I've made a mistake, so I had to mark it twice, but 12.5 inches, and it's 8 equal sections. All right, so I'll have a good idea of where I need to stop when I start wrapping. There's a lot of tutorial videos on how to make jumping leaping arches. If I was going to make a big one, less of a tighter arch, I'd be using the sleeve method that I did in my previous videos. There's some where you could, hook up a drill and get the pipe to spin while you put it on to make it easy. And I can imagine that that'll work nicely for the first couple strands of lights. When you get like 6 or 7 strands of lights on here with the extra cords and things like that, trying to get them to spin nicely without whipping yourself with the other lights would be a pain in the butt. So I'm going to do all this by hand. It's probably going to take me a little while, but basically I'm just going to start with one end and just wrap it around as tight as I can. If I get to the end and I have some more, I'll go back down to, I'll kind of show you as I do. I'll give you a little bit of advice when you're going to be doing a project like this. It's always best to use brand new, all the same manufactured lights. If I was going to do this the right way, I'd go out and buy 8 new strands of lights. And the reason for that is when I'm using old lights like this, a couple reasons. Number one, if something goes wrong with a strand while it's on the pipe, it is extremely difficult to find and fix because everything is curled up so tight around the pipe. Second of all, the spacing of these lights is going to make a big difference when you're wrapping around, what is this, a 3/4 inch piece of pipe? I don't know, what is this? Anyway, when you're going around this pipe, you'll notice that the bulbs will lay a certain way. And this, 3/4 inch piece of pipe, you'll find that the bulbs will lay a certain way. And one strand might be perfect. Everything is evenly spaced all around. You will start another strand. If it's not the same exact strand or manufacturer, whatever, you might find that all the bulbs are now lining up at the same side and it's not actually filling the entire thing. So so that's my first bit of advice. And the second is go ahead and wrap your cord up like this around your hand real tight. Now I've left the male end as the leading in, and I'm going to stick that over here. All right, and I'm just going to work. I want it tight like this as I wrap around because I'm wrapping around a small piece of pipe. If I've got it this entire strand is kind of go around this pipe every single time. And not necessarily a big deal at the first section, but what you get in the middle, if you're trying to do it any other way, or if you have a lot that you have to keep pulling through over and over again, it's going to be very time consuming. So, all right, about 10 minutes later, I got my first channel done. Now it actually spaced out quite nicely. I don't know how well you can tell in this video, but there's the bottom layer. Get in there. You can't see the pipe. The bottom layer is nice and tight, and the spacing for the bottom layer, the lights were actually spaced out really well. But when I got to the end, I had enough to loosely come up, back, and then back up. So that's where you see all these, these like this cross wire right here and here. So when you are doing any extra, if you're going back up, my suggestion is not to, go over a light bulb or tie that light bulb down. You want these lights to be sticking up. They look better. And if you do have to check or change any of these, then at least you'll have access to them. All right, so that's one channel down. 7 more to go. Oh, that's just cute. Goldie, what do you got on your back? It's Santa Claus! Goldie. All right, there it is, all 8 channels wrapped. This thing is obviously much heavier than it was before, with all these lights on it. But then next, the goal is you have to put 3 holes in the house. Walk over here and show you. We're gonna hook it up onto the center. Make sure it's tight and zip tied real good, and then we'll pull this side over, and we'll pull that side over, and it should look really well. Hopefully, it'll work. And just like that, it is up and in place. Now, you can see the bottom doesn't come straight down like I kind of wanted it to, but I couldn't get it. So that's close enough. Maybe I'll put some bows or something around the corners. I still got to figure out what I'm doing with these pillars. So maybe tie something in just to hide that, make it look a little bit better. About an hour and a half it took me to do that. All right, the next project. 8 strands of white, 8 strands of red, 2 pillars. It's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4 red, and on top of that, 4 white, and the same thing over here. So the first step in this case is to measure the distance from the top to the bottom. Divide by 4. That'll tell me how much each channel, how the width of each channel. I'm going to place a little tiny red dot on the back side of here to mark those channels. And then just start wrapping. All right, so the front door is getting pretty much close, the entryway. Got to clean up a little bit of a mess. But here's the finished product on the pillars. All right, you just gotta, this again is 4, there's 8 strands of lights here, 4 red and 4 white. Depending on the size of your pillars and what exactly you're planning on doing, just play around with the spacing, and you'll get it. All the extra, because I'm using this for the the channels, I don't want the channels to overlap. It's coming in the back, and they're just going to come straight down, and then wherever the box is going to be, which I need to determine that very soon. Okay, go ahead and start plugging in some of our static stuff and getting the extension cords run. As you can tell, I put this garland here we got at Home Depot. Really nice garland, but it's battery operated, which would be awesome if we needed it, but we don't. And the thing is, it takes, each set of garland takes 8 AA batteries, and you have to plug it in on both ends. So if we were going to use the battery operated lights in the thing, we'd be spending a lot of money in batteries, and we'd have to climb up the ladder every time we wanted to turn it on, which is obnoxious. So I used a set of C9 LED lights to go around it. We got our red LEDs that are coming over here. I'm going to start setting up my main extension cords. Going to run the boxes. Now I have 4 boxes. One box is going to be running the tree, along with the stripe that goes down around here, the eaves, the peak, and 2 windows, and the strobe, which I have to put up the strobe lights and the 2 windows. That's one box. I have a separate box, second box that runs the wreath and the arch. That's 16 channels. I have a third box that runs the pillars, which is another 16 channels, and I have the fourth box running the roof line. So in this case, I'm going to be running most likely one box, fastening it to the tower, back of the tower here, running the extra extension cords to the house. You're putting one box up underneath this eave over here. This will run the roof line. I'm not the roof line, this will run the checkerboard roof up under here out of the weather. So I'm going to run a main extension cord, heavy duty extension cord, probably up and over into the back and plugging it into my daughter's room, Jovi's room. And then I have two more boxes. They're going to go side by side up under here on this side of the up underneath there. Again, the one's going to be running the wreath and the arch, and the other one's going to be running the pillars. So it'll be up and out of the way. I'll just have to tidy up the extension cords and bring them up here on both sides, on this side and over there. And then same thing goes when it comes to getting the extension cords to the arch. This is going to be, well, the arch and the wreath are going to be kind of tricky to be able to hide the extension cords. Not only because, first of all, this is going to have 8 extension cords. You have 8 extension cords, but with these icicle lights on, it's going to light up everything underneath here. So it's going to be very difficult to hide 8 extension cords into the wreath, and then especially over here for the same reason. There's a big space to plug it in, but the closest way would be to come down around, maybe around the back side of this pillar and come up. I plan to do a good job this year hiding the extension cords and making it look really good, as good as it can be. Like I said, I use a lot of Christmas lights, old Christmas lights as extension cords, and they're not the most attractive looking things. So I'm going to try to use, maybe if I can fabricate some extension cords. I've got a lot of pieces. Maybe I could put some together. Or if I have to, if I can afford it, maybe go out and buy some new extension cords. Maybe even buy a spool of lamp cord and start making my own. So I want to make it look good this year. Alright guys, well I decided to go ahead and cut this video short, split this weekend's videos into 2. So look out for another video coming in the next couple days. Thanks.